My husband left me and our 4 kids for his brother's ex, after years of their so-called innocent friendship. Now he's contacting us to invite us to his wedding. So I, 37F, have been with my husband Matthew, 44M, for 17 years. We have 4 kids, 16M, 14F, 12M, and 10F, a golden retriever named Baxter, and until recently, we co-owned a small printing business together. We live in a modest neighborhood in a suburban area of Canada, nothing fancy but it was home. Our house is a 3-bedroom semi-detached with a finished basement where the kids hang out. The mortgage isn't paid off yet, but we were making steady progress before everything fell apart. I met Matthew when I was 20 and working at a coffee shop near the university I was attending part-time. He came in every morning for 6 months before finally asking me out. He was already established in his career at 27, and I was immediately drawn to his confidence and stability. Looking back, the age gap probably should have been a red flag, but at the time, I thought I was just mature for my age. Lol, wasn't I special? We moved pretty fast. Engaged after a year, married after 2, first kid by year 3. The printing business was Matthew's idea. He had experience in graphic design, and I had taken some business courses. We started small, working out of our basement, eventually moving to a small commercial space. The business was never hugely profitable, but it provided a decent living and the flexibility I needed with 4 kids. Now, enter Isabel, 30F. Isabel is Matthew's younger brother Ryan's ex-girlfriend from 12 years ago. They dated briefly when she was 18, broke up after maybe 6 months, but somehow she's managed to stay connected to our family all this time. Initially, it wasn't a big deal, she'd show up at the occasional family gathering, whatever. But over the last 4 to 5 years, she's been constantly messaging my husband. And when I say constantly, I mean constantly. She never sends me messages unless Matthew tells her he's not home and she's coming over anyway, which has happened exactly once in 4 years. She's currently engaged to this quiet guy named Dave and has a baby on the way. Both Matthew and all his friends insist they have this brother-sister relationship. Right. Because I totally message my brother figures all day every day and never include their wives. Totally normal behavior. My kids can't stand her, which should have been another sign. She has a 9-year-old from a previous relationship, and whenever she visits, my kids feel like they're expected to babysit. My 14-year-old daughter has complained multiple times that Isabel just lets her kid run wild while she follows Matthew around the house talking his ear off. My oldest son straight up leaves the room when she shows up now. Our family routine was pretty standard before all this went down. Weekdays were hectic with school drop-offs, work, after-school activities. My 16-year-old plays hockey, the 14-year-old does competitive dance, and the younger 2 are in various sports depending on the season. Matthew and I would tag team dinner prep and homework help. Weekends were for family time, movie nights with homemade pizza on Fridays, hiking or skiing depending on the season on Saturdays, and Sundays were usually spent catching up on chores and preparing for the week ahead. Isabel would typically invite herself over on weekends, often texting Matthew directly with messages like "we're bored, thinking of stopping by." No asking if it's convenient, no advance notice. And Matthew would always say yes, even if we had family plans. I'd have to rearrange our schedule to accommodate her visits, which usually lasted hours. The first major red flag appeared about 2 years ago. My brother-in-law Ryan, Isabel's ex, sent me a message out of the blue saying, "Hey, I think you should know that Matthew has always had a thing for Isabel." When we were dating, he used to make comments about how hot she was. When I confronted Matthew about this, he laughed it off and said Ryan was just jealous because Isabel was still friends with our family. I accepted that explanation because Ryan has always been a bit of a drama queen, and their sibling rivalry goes back to childhood. Matthew is the oldest of 3 brothers, and there's always been tension, especially between him and Ryan. But then came the moment I should have paid more attention to. One night, during an intimate moment, if you know what I mean, Matthew randomly tells me that Isabel is the only person he would ever want to have a 3-way with. We'd never discussed anything like that before. Not even hypothetically. I was so shocked I just froze up, and the mood was obviously killed. When I brought it up the next day, he claimed he was just talking in the heat of the moment and didn't mean anything by it. I tried to let it go, but something felt off. Whenever Isabel comes over, she barely acknowledges my existence. She talks directly to Matthew, laughs at all his jokes, and I have to literally insert myself into the conversation for her to even look at me. I've tried being friendly, offering her coffee, asking about her pregnancy, complimenting her new haircut, but she gives me these one-word answers before turning back to my husband. During one dinner at our house, Isabel spent the entire time talking about Ryan, her ex from 12 years ago, and his current family situation. Her fiancé Dave was visibly uncomfortable, shifting in his seat and barely touching his food. I finally spoke up and said, "You know, bringing up Ryan every time you visit is getting a little old, and it seems to make Dave uncomfortable." After dinner, Dave actually thanked me for standing up for him, but our conversation was cut short when Isabel walked into the kitchen. Looking back, there were so many other little signs I ignored. 1. Matthew would immediately respond to Isabel's texts, but often take 30+ minutes to reply to mine. 2. He'd mention her in casual conversation all the time. Isabel recommended this show, or Isabel said this restaurant is good. 3. When planning family activities, he'd sometimes say, "Let me check if Isabel's free that weekend." 4. He'd defend her parenting style when I'd mention that her kid was being disruptive. 5. She'd often need his help with random tasks, setting up electronics, moving furniture, car troubles. Our marriage wasn't perfect before Isabel became a constant presence, but we were solid. We had our routines: coffee together before the kids woke up, date nights once a month when we could get a sitter, little inside jokes that had developed over 17 years together. We'd weathered tough times, financial struggles when the business was just starting, sleepless years with 4 young kids, the stress of buying and renovating our home, my complicated relationship with my own family. I went no contact with my parents back in 2010 for reasons I won't get into here, but Matthew had always been my rock through that difficult decision. His parents were never my biggest fans. They thought Matthew married down because I didn't finish my degree, but they were civil at family gatherings, which happened maybe 3 to 4 times a year. Last year, my phone broke, and Matthew gave me one of his old cell phones since he'd recently upgraded. This is where justice stepped in. He hadn't logged out of his Facebook Messenger account. Now, I know what you're thinking. You shouldn't snoop. And you're right. But when your gut is screaming at you for months and everyone keeps gaslighting you about it, sometimes you need confirmation that you're not crazy. So yeah, I read their messages. And there it was in black and white. He told her that he admitted to Ryan that he thought she was hot and that if he was younger and single, he would definitely date her. He also told her I wasn't home when he said it and that I didn't know exactly what he'd said. Her response? The rolling on the floor laughing emoji. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. 17 years, 4 kids, building a business together, and this is how he talks about me to another woman? Like I'm some joke? I took screenshots but didn't confront him right away. I wanted to gather more evidence first. Over the next few months, I noticed more and more little things. He started working late more often, claiming the business needed extra attention. His phone would be face down on the table, when he used to leave it face up. He became critical of small things I did, my cooking, how I dressed, my parenting decisions. Our intimate life became almost non-existent, with him claiming he was too tired most nights. He'd get defensive if I asked who he was texting, saying I was too controlling. One particular incident stands out. I was at the grocery store and texted to ask if we needed milk. No response for 45 minutes. Later, I noticed he'd been actively chatting with Isabel during that entire time. Messenger shows when someone was last active. About what, you ask? Some TV show they both watched that I've never been invited to discuss with them. We used to watch shows together every night after the kids went to bed. It was our time to unwind and connect. But gradually, he started claiming he was too busy or would watch on his laptop with headphones while I sat alone in the living room. Now I wonder if he was messaging her the whole time. After months of this, I finally reached my breaking point. I sat Matthew down after the kids were in bed and laid it all out. I told him I'd seen the messages, that I felt disrespected by both of them, and that their friendship was inappropriate given how she treats me and how he talks about her. I told him I was tired of feeling like the third wheel in my own marriage, and that he needed to choose, set some serious boundaries with Isabel or I would have to reconsider our relationship. His reaction? He got defensive. Started saying I was overreacting and that I was trying to control who he could be friends with. He accused me of being insecure and jealous of an innocent friendship. When I brought up specific messages, he claimed they were taken out of context or just jokes. We had several more talks over the next few weeks. At first, he seemed like he wanted to work things out. He apologized for breaking my trust and claimed he never meant any of it. But his actions didn't match his words. He kept messaging her, and I could tell he was just saying what he thought I wanted to hear. Then he flipped entirely and decided that since I didn't want to work on things, aka let him continue his emotional affair, he was going to leave. He packed some bags and went to stay at his brother's house. Not Ryan's, of course, but his other brother Alex's place. The kids were devastated. I tried to explain the situation in age-appropriate ways, but how do you tell your children that their father chose another woman over his family? My 16-year-old overheard enough arguments to piece things together and has been furious with his dad. The younger ones are just confused and hurt. In the 2 months after he left, things went from bad to worse. Matthew hasn't seen our kids in person for over a month. He talks to them on the phone occasionally, but that's it. My 16-year-old is furious with him, my 14-year-old keeps asking what she did wrong, and the younger two are just confused. To make matters worse, he's been trying to financially strangle me. 1. He cut off my cell phone service and the kids' phones, so I had to scramble to get new SIM cards. 2. He's refused to pay a single cent toward school supplies or uniforms. 3. He hasn't done his taxes this year, which means I can't get our family allowance or Canada Child Tax benefit, cutting my budget by $1,800 a month. The financial situation became dire almost immediately. I had filed my taxes back in March, listing him as my spouse as we've done for 17 years, but he was supposed to file his a few weeks later. When he left, he just didn't do it. Which means I couldn't get any of the family benefits we rely on. I had to sign the kids up for a local school supply distribution program, but they don't help with uniforms. Only my oldest two need uniforms for their public high school. Yes, they're mandatory here in our district. My 14-year-old daughter has been giving me attitude because she has to wear her older brother's hand-me-down uniform shirts. I get it, she's a teenage girl and wants her own clothes, but I literally cannot afford $35 per shirt right now. I've contacted the school, but unfortunately, they don't have any low-cost uniform options. They suggested checking thrift shops, but finding the right sizes has been challenging. They do have an emergency budget for uniforms, but it's only for families who have recently arrived in the country. I managed to talk to Isabel directly. I told her everything that was happening, and guess what? Matthew had told her he left me because I cheated on him. Complete fabrication. She claimed she blamed herself for what happened and seemed upset, but honestly, it felt like an act. I haven't spoken to her since. Financially, I've been barely keeping my head above water. Once rent is paid on our place, he moved out but still won't help with housing costs. I hardly have anything left for bills and groceries. Thank God for food banks. I've tried to get loans for a lawyer, but with my income situation being so precarious, that didn't work out. I've contacted several lawyers about my situation. I know my rights, but I also know how much it's going to cost to take him to court. He quit his job soon after leaving, so suing him for alimony or child support is going to be tough. I don't qualify for legal aid based on our previous tax filings, when things were financially better. In our province, it takes at least 90 days of separation before I can take legal action against him. He's only been gone for about 2 weeks at this point, so I'm stuck in limbo. As for family support, that's complicated. I've been no contact with my parents since 2010, and they've never even met my younger children. Matthew's family has always been low contact with us. His parents have never liked me, and the brother he's staying with doesn't like me either. Ryan has been supportive, but he lives in another province. My trip with the kids to visit my elderly grandmother in July was supposed to give us some breathing room to work on our marriage. It's a yearly tradition, we drive out to see her for 2 weeks every summer. When we returned, Matthew was already gone. While I was at my grandmother's, he would barely talk to me, but would video chat with the kids daily. I had no idea he was planning to leave. I was completely blindsided. It's been almost 8 months since Matthew left, and I wish I could say things have improved, but the truth is somehow even worse than I imagined possible. Everyone in the comments of my last post who predicted he would end up with Isabel. You were 100% right. They got married in a civil ceremony on Christmas Day. The audacity. The only time in the past 7 months that Matthew asked for the kids was during Christmas break. Turns out he wanted them there for his wedding. My oldest flat out refused to go, and the others were hesitant, but I encouraged them to spend time with their dad regardless of my feelings about the situation. He barely talks to the kids now. They text him several times a week about school and activities, but he rarely responds. When he does, he complains that I won't let him take them overnight, which is complete BS. I've never prevented him from seeing the kids, he's the one who moved 45 minutes away and doesn't make the effort. Meanwhile, he posts pictures of his new family daily on social media. Weekend trips, restaurant outings, all the things we used to do together but that I can no longer afford to give my children. My oldest has started blocking him on various platforms because it hurts too much to see. Speaking of my oldest, he's starting college in the fall and is worried about covering his tuition. When he tried talking to his dad about it, Matthew told him that now that he's almost an adult, it's not his problem anymore. This from the man who promised all our kids he'd help them through college if they maintained good grades, which my son has. He's got a 3.8 GPA. I finally managed to find a lawyer who took my case pro bono, after 15+ rejections. We had our first court date last week, and I'm happy to report that I got full custody of all 4 kids. We have another hearing scheduled to determine child support. Of course, Matthew is claiming poverty. All the documents he brought to court show he's on welfare and that Isabel pays their rent, bills, and vacations. Neither the judge nor I are buying it. He's been ordered to provide documentation that he's filed his taxes this year and to demonstrate that he's actively seeking employment. The judge is having a hard time setting an amount for child support since Matthew claims he's not working legally. I suspect he's working under the table to avoid garnishment, but proving that is difficult. He's been ordered by the court to provide documentation that he's filed his taxes and to try to place himself within the job Matthew A in a reasonable amount of time to provide for his children. Our next court date is in April. I'm hopeful that he'll finally be held accountable and forced to support the children he helped create, but I'm not holding my breath. An important note about their marriage: they aren't legally married yet. They only had a civil ceremony and didn't obtain a marriage license. Matthew actually admitted this in court. Their marriage has no legal value at the moment, and knowing how he is, they'll probably never get a legal marriage license. They've only been together since August or September, so they don't qualify as common law partners yet under Canadian law, which typically requires cohabitation for 12+ months. As for me, I'm still working 2 jobs, my primary job at an office supply store and evenings/weekends at a coffee shop. I'm moving next month with the kids into a co-op apartment where the rent will be much lower than what I'm paying now. The move itself is going to be expensive though, and I'm stressing about hiring movers. With my oldest starting college, summer activities for the younger kids, and all the regular expenses, I feel like I'm constantly playing financial whack-a-mole. I've started a small business online selling custom printables, ironic, given our former business, but it's slow going. Our daily routine has completely changed. I leave for my first job before the kids are up for school, so my oldest is in charge of getting everyone ready and out the door. I get home around 4 p.m., make dinner, help with homework, then head to my evening job 3 nights a week. On those nights, I don't get home until after the younger kids are in bed. Weekends are spent catching up on housework, shopping for the cheapest groceries I can find, and trying to give the kids some semblance of normalcy. We've had to cut out all extracurricular activities except my daughter's dance, which she was able to keep because her instructor offered her a scholarship. The hardest part is seeing how this has affected my children. My 16-year-old has become withdrawn and angry. He's taking on too much responsibility, trying to be the man of the house. My 14-year-old's grades have slipped, and she's been having trouble with friends at school. My 12-year-old has started having nightmares, and my 10-year-old still asks when Dad is coming home. I've tried to get them into counseling, but the waiting lists for affordable services are months long. Their school has a guidance counselor who's been helpful, but they need more support than I can currently provide. I haven't started dating and honestly have zero interest in meeting anyone new. Between work, the kids, the ongoing legal battle, and just trying to process my emotions about the past year, I don't have the bandwidth for a relationship. Looking back, I can see all the warning signs I missed or chose to ignore. 1. The way Matthew would light up when Isabel texted, but sigh when my name appeared on his phone. 2. How he'd bring her up in random conversations. Isabel said this funny thing today. 3. The fact that her child's father was never in the picture and Matthew stepped in as a father figure. 4. How Isabel always seemed to have a crisis that required Matthew's immediate attention. 5. The way he defended her constantly but rarely stood up for me. 6. His increasing criticism of me as his relationship with her intensified. 7. How our intimate life dwindled as his texting with her increased. 8. The way he positioned his phone screen away from me when texting. 9. How he started suggesting girls' nights out for me, which he never did before. 10. The subtle changes in his appearance, new clothes, different hairstyle, suddenly caring about fitness. I spent 17 years with this man. We built a business together, raised 4 children, went through the deaths of grandparents, job changes, 3 house moves, health scares, and all the mundane daily struggles of life. And he threw it all away for a woman who's been circling our marriage like a vulture for years. The most painful part isn't even losing him, it's watching my children process their father's betrayal. My 12-year-old still sleeps with a Father's Day card he was planning to give Matthew before he left. My 14-year-old has started therapy to deal with her feelings of abandonment. The 10-year-old still asks when Daddy is coming home. And my oldest is trying so hard to be the man of the house that he's not properly processing his own grief. I've had to become both mother and father to them. I'm the one helping with math homework, attending soccer games, dealing with first crushes, teaching my oldest to drive, and all the other parenting duties that Matthew has abandoned. And I'm doing it while working 60+ hours a week just to keep a roof over our heads. Some days are still really hard. There are mornings I wake up and for a split second forget everything that's happened, only to have reality come crashing back. There are nights I stay up worrying about money and whether I'm doing enough for my kids. There are moments I get so angry I have to go sit in my car and scream. But there are also good days. Days when my kids and I make dinner together and laugh about something silly. Days when I realize I don't have to check in with anyone about my decisions or apologize for taking up space. Days when I look in the mirror and recognize myself again. The business we built together is gone. Matthew liquidated it without consulting me, despite my name being on the paperwork. That's another legal battle for another day. For now, I'm focused on stability for my kids and rebuilding our lives. My support system is small but mighty. A few close friends have been incredible, dropping off home-cooked meals, offering rides for the kids, helping me navigate the legal system. My neighbor, an elderly woman who lives alone, has become like a surrogate grandmother to my kids, watching the younger ones when I have to work late. If I've learned anything from this nightmare, it's that I'm stronger than I knew. I'm building a new life for myself and my children brick by brick. It's not the life I planned or expected, but it's mine. For those commenters who said I blew up my life and family by confronting Matthew about Isabel instead of working through it, no. Just no. I deserve better than being disrespected in my own home and marriage for years. My children deserve better than a father who abandons them emotionally and financially. Yes, I miss the security of our old life. I miss having a partner to share the burden of parenting. I miss adult conversation at the end of a long day. I even miss some of the little things about Matthew, the way he made coffee every morning, how he could always make the kids laugh, his talent for fixing things around the house. But I don't miss the anxiety of wondering who he was texting. I don't miss the knot in my stomach every time Isabel's name came up. I don't miss feeling invisible in my own marriage. If there's another update someday, I'll post it on my own page. Thank you to everyone who offered support, advice, and encouragement. Even the harsh comments helped me see things more clearly. TL, Dr. Husband had inappropriate friendship with brother's ex for years, left me when confronted, married her on Christmas Day, abandoned his financial responsibilities to our 4 kids, and is now claiming poverty to avoid paying child support. I got full custody, am slowly rebuilding my life, and learning that sometimes the trash really does take itself out.